want to kind of get an update on how it's going on the various campuses and with the new group of young people that are engaging in trimester 1, and also on the leaders that are involved in trimester 2. So who wants to go first?
Had a great response from parents like, hey, this has changed the music that my students listen to. This has changed the way that they act at home. And so it's been a really great book, and I'm glad that parents are actually enjoying it.
Like, it's given more structure to their daily devotions, because sometimes it can be hard to know where to start or like, you know, what to read and all that. So it's given them good structure and helped them like make that habit. As well, we had a student who grabbed the first book initially and, you know, thought it sounded good, but hadn't really picked it up until last week because he kept hearing about it in our community groups and things like that. And he was like, okay, I'll like pick it up and read it. And he read all the way through and caught up and was like, genuinely, it changed my life. Like, I'm so glad. Like, once I picked it up, I didn't want to put it down. It just really helped me in the season that I was in, helped me get closer to God. So I thought that was really cool. Overall, it's gone really well. And there's a lot of good feedback about the topics that are discussed. And they really enjoy the discussion questions at the end of every week, especially in community groups, because they get to kind of bounce off each other of like what they thought about it. So it was really good.
No, it's been going well. I guess one different kind of praise report that's come from it is one of my high school girls, actually, she's been really consistent with her reading, and she's actually been like talking about the topics to some of her friends who aren't believers. And one of her friends actually has started coming to our church because of like the conversations that she's been having from reading the book. And she has wanted her friend to also start reading the book as well, because she's just really enjoyed and like learned a lot from it. So that's been really cool.
How's it going with the first group that went through the leadership training in trimester 1 before, that are leading these groups now? How are they doing with trimester 2? How are their groups and you know, their sense of real growth besides the fact that they're leading these groups? Anybody want to comment on that?
They're doing so good. I bragged about a couple of our leaders at our last core meeting, because they were together at a coffee shop with some of their young people, just going through the devotional together at a big table, getting breakfast. And I thought that was really cool.
I think trimester 2 is going really well for us as well. It helped us identify like, oh, these like really are our student leaders. Because sometimes I know with teenagers, you're like, oh, you're here for a little while. Like, it sounds like you want to be involved, but these are like the ones that you can tell they're here for the long term.
I would say it's going great. With the group I do have doing trimester 2, they have actually taken like ownership of the book, and like they will actually get on a call like at 8 o'clock at night and talk about what they learned from the book. And it's just really cool to see. But it's also like they've taken ownership, that they're not afraid to call out their friends for what they're doing wrong. Because if I'm called to be a leader, like the book tells us, that you would do those things. And so I'm really proud of it. It's going great for us.
But part of the reason we have these Zoom calls is to go, okay, what's all going right? What could be better in terms of what we've seen when it works in the very best environments. So I think everything's going great. I just don't want it. What it can be is it can be a false momentum at the beginning, like things to be going great, but you want enduring momentum, you know, that so when you get to trimester 4 and 5 and 6, I mean, it's just growing and growing, and people are more and more committed to each other and to helping each other grow and that kind of thing.
I'll also say, Ron, I have, not to talk about my preaching, because I'm not even that good for preacher, you know, but your devotional, like this Pathway to Freedom, I've been challenging myself every week. I will purposely teach on the past week of the devotional reading, and I've never preached a message on self-control before, and I got so much feedback at the end of the night, more than I have in the past, from young people and leaders, about how solid it was. And I'm like, well, it's our devotional, like this is Ron Luce's message, but it encouraged me, because I've never thought to preach strictly on self-control, and it resonated so well. it got me to kind of expand. I feel like I'm really good at preaching on grace, but the amount of truth I've added to it has been really valuable.
Good.
Just wanted you to know that.
Thank God. Thank God.
Yeah.
This is an interesting. I don't know if any of you others on other campuses are doing this or not, like preaching from whatever the content was that week. But I will tell you that first of all, a lot of churches, either they buy content, Orange or whatever, and they just use whatever comes out, or they just kind of like, Lord, what do you want this week? And it's not line upon line, building on a foundation, going like this, right? And so if you use the content from the book from week to week, it helps to build week upon week, month upon month. And number one, number two, people need to hear, all of us humans, we all need to hear things multiple times to really get it, right? And so it might come across one way when they're reading it, another way when you're speaking it, another way when they're talking about it in their small group. And so it's not just, some people are more auditory, some people are better at reading, some people are better at discussing as far as how they internalize.